Hello, this is Moles video 5, and this one's about calculating the reacting amounts. This ties in with the AQA specifications 4.322 and 4.323, and this is where you might be asked by the examiners to work out how much of one chemical reacts with how much of the other chemical in the equation. So the questions are always, the examiners will make up a name of a person. Today I have picked the dogs that happened to walk past my window whilst I was walking this. So starting us off was a very lovely West Highland Terrier called Scott, who happens to have about his person 28 grams of lithium. And what we want to know is how much oxygen would be needed to react completely with this. Whenever you do these questions, step one is always to get a balanced equation. Now, they will probably give you the chemicals because otherwise that's a whole extra series of steps. Remember, you don't change the small numbers. So there's nothing written there, so there's 1 lithium, there's 2 oxygens, but 2 lithiums and 1 oxygen. Need more oxygen here, can't change the small number, so I have to multiply it by 2. That's the oxygen sorted. Need more lithium, so it's 4. So step 1 is always the balanced equation. Step 2 is to remember that you are not really sure, because you're going to do 3 parts to this, and it's always not really sure. The first one, work out the number of moles. The second, work out the ratio. And the third, solve. So whatever they've asked you to do, you do that. So let's try the first one. We need to get the number of moles. Well, the only chemical we can do that for is lithium. We remember that the number of moles is the sample mass divided by the mass of 1 mole. So you're going to be using the equations that we've covered earlier as the first step every single time. This we know comes from the periodic table. So if we look it up, that's lithium. The mass of 1 mole is always the larger one. So 28 grams is what's given to us. Again, write down what it is in the equation. That's the sample mass. So it's 28 divided by 7. So this dog apparently has 4 moles of lithium. Now, this is what you do the balanced equation for. What they are really telling us is a ratio. We need the ratio of lithium to oxygen, because that's what we're asked about. So from lithium to oxygen, well, there's a 4 there, so that part's easy. There's nothing written, which means it was a 1, so the ratio from lithium to oxygen is 4 to 1. Now I've given you an easy one here. There are 4 moles of lithium, so it's exactly what it says there. 4 moles of lithium reacts with 1 mole of oxygen, so what we need is 1 mole of O2. Now, up here it says how much oxygen is needed to react completely with it. That would be our question finished. If the question said what mass of oxygen is needed, we would need to remember the equation. The sample mass is the number of moles times by the mass of 1 mole. Well, we've got 1 mole. Oh no, how do we get this? Oh wait, don't panic. We look it up in the periodic table. Every oxygen is 16. So O2 is 2 times 16, which equals 32 grams. So we would do 1 times 32. So Scott the dog would need 32 grams of oxygen to react completely with his 28 grams of lithium. Okay, next up is a lovely black Labrador called Boris, who has 14.2 grams of chlorine, and we're wondering how much lithium will react with the 14.2 grams of chlorine. Start with a balanced equation each time. You're given chlorine exists as Cl2, lithium chloride is a 1-to-1 ratio, 2 chlorines means we need 2 there, and 2 lithiums. If you want at this moment to pause the video and try and solve this yourself, go for it. So, always not really sure. Number of moles, ratio, solve it. You find the number of moles, using the equations for moles. Sample mass over molar mass. Go to your question. Notice what everything is. The only number we're given is the sample mass. That's 14.2. We have to use the periodic table here. So you look it up and you find that chlorine is a mass of 35.5. Hang on a minute, there's two of them. 2 times 35.5 is 71. So 14.2 divided by 71 is 0.2 moles of Cl2. Write in what that's for. Don't just leave numbers on your page. Put the units and put the chemical. Prove to the examiner you know what you're doing. Maybe don't write not really sure down, but prove to them that you know to do these steps. So the next one. Not really, okay, done number of moles, do the ratio. We are asked about lithium and chlorine. So what's the ratio of lithium to chlorine? Big 2, because that's the number of moles. There's nothing here, so it's 1. So for every 2 moles of lithium, we need 1 mole of chlorine. So we simply, whatever you get for lithium, you just divide by 2. Okay. Oh no, we've been given the amount of chlorine. Oh, well then we go the other way. 1 mole of chlorine, you would multiply it by 2. So we have 0.2 moles times by 2, we would get 0.4 moles of lithium. Now we need to solve this. You're asked how much lithium. If it's in moles, 0.4. If it's mass, the mass is the number of moles times by the molar mass, 0.4 times by 7, and that is going to give you your answer, which is, hastily doing it, 2.8 grams. Okay, there is one last thing that we'd have to do for this topic, and that's calculating something called the expected yield. Yield is the amount of product, and it's exactly the same set of steps. So, a golden retriever called Willow has just wandered past and has reacted 48 decimeters cubed of chlorine with excess. If you ever see this word, excess, that means you've got as much of it as you need. So you don't need to worry about how much lithium there is, it's not going to be part of it. And we want to know how much, as in what mass of lithium chloride is produced. I'm giving you the same balanced equation as before. So again, it's going to be the same set of steps. Not really sure. If you want to pause and try it yourself, do so. And then obviously I'm going to go through it. So the first one, we need to find a number of moles. Now, the examiners have been a little bit sneaky here. Pay attention to your units. Chlorine's a gas. We haven't been given a mass this time. You could be, but because it's a gas, you could also be given a volume. So we remember the equation. Number of moles is the volume divided by 24. Remember, every gas has a volume of 24 decimeters cubed for 1 mole. So here, 48 divided by 24, and that means that we have 2 moles of chlorine gas. Next step, ratio. We're given chlorine and we want to know how much lithium chloride. So we need to look at the ratio of chlorine to lithium chloride, and it is 1, because there's nothing written there so we know it's a 1, to 2. We have this one and we need to find out the lithium chloride. So you simply, whenever you're going from the smaller to the larger, times it by 2. So we're going to do 2 times 2 and discover that Willow, had she had her 48 decimeters cubed of chlorine, which is 2 moles of chlorine, would be able to make 4 moles of lithium chloride. Okay, what do we want? We want to find the mass. The mass is the number of moles times by the molar mass. 4 moles. Oh, we're going to have to look all this up. Don't panic. This is the bit where people go to pieces. Each step you can do. Every single one of them isn't too bad. It's just about doing things that remind you to go through them sequentially. How do we get this? We use the periodic table. Lithium 7, chlorine is 35.5. So the mass for lithium chloride is 35.5 plus 7, which is 42.5. And if we quickly put that into our calculator to make sure we get it right, 170 grams. Thank you.